this is Sarah. Welcome to Inspire Tarot. It's good to have you back on the channel. So today we have the Maiden of Swords, which is the Page of Swords, the Five of Wands, and Temperance, which is one of the major arcana cards. And what particularly stands out to me in these cards is how we go, if we go too far in one direction, that we end up in conflict with other people. And the ego always tries to solve conflict by winning. But the spirit knows that the only way to win is to regain harmony and oneness. But the ego always seems to seduce us into finding a way to be right. And the spirit is always saying, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Because often what happens is when we are right, or we think we're right, we end up often losing a friend or causing some sort of disharmony or disruption in our relationships. So we might have won the battle, but we haven't won the war, is one of the sayings. And I think with the Maiden of Swords or the Page of Swords, this is a character that is usually very sort of young and intellectual, excited by lots of different things. But because they're very focused on duality and focused on the mind, they kind of very easily get seduced by the ego in the wrong direction and can spend many years just learning, trying to become cleverer, more interested in knowledge, constantly on a quest for the truth or for some progress, some way of getting what they want, but it's obviously in a very convoluted and a way that doesn't work, because anytime we're trying to navigate duality without the understanding of unity, we just chase our tail and we can end up in lots of conflict or having unsatisfying relationships and not really understand why, because we, from our perspective, always believe that we're completely right. Because our beliefs are based on our experiences and what we were taught growing up. And we believe that we kind of have things sussed and that everybody else is wrong. But then over time we see patterns in ourselves and think, well, if I did have everything right, then surely my life would flow more seamlessly and my relationships would get better and my career and things would be more fulfilling. So yeah, we end up just taking a look at ourselves, and that's where the Temperance card comes in. So the Temperance card is all about balance and modesty. It's a card that brings us back to more towards our natural state, I would say. So our natural state is very equanimous, which means that we see things from a very wide perspective. We kind of understand that everything is in perfect harmony at all times, despite it seeming as though it's in chaos. There is actually complete order to all the chaos. Everything that happens to us that goes wrong is actually a stepping stone on the ladder helping us. And what we actually consider to be going wrong is not, generally speaking, what's going wrong, because consciousness doesn't go backwards and we're always finding our way back home. So the spirit knows that, yeah, we can't go wrong and that everything is always working out for our good. But quite often during times of unrest and conflict, we do need to go within and find peace. And we can do this in many ways. Sometimes through like exercise or talking things through. But yeah, the best way I find in the mind is to attune more to the spirit or the conscience or whatever you want to call it, and kind of understand that there's no point fighting a battle. And I know most people in life don't really grasp this, even though we mature as adults. We still are very focused on wanting to be a healthy, functioning adult, which is really way too low of an objective and a goal for us, because we want to really be our spirit selves. We want to transcend the restrictions of feeling like we're in a body in a physical world. There's no satisfaction there. And I think over time we notice that we just keep chasing our tails, trying to find the solution We go for maybe one particular career or one relationship and it doesn't work, and we try different things, and then eventually you can really see the futility of trying to get one over on other people, or trampling other people down in order to get what you want, or seeing other people as bad or wrong for being different. So yeah, this is one of the things about the teachings of A Course in Miracles that I really enjoy, is that it says if you want peace, then you must give up conflict entirely and for all time. And there is a tendency to think, well, how can I give up conflict? Because it takes two people to be in conflict. What happens if someone's in conflict with me? But we don't really realize that we can exercise this power to not be in conflict back, to attune to what the Spirit wants us to do in each situation, because it won't be a fixed thing. The way the Spirit will have us act will be for the good of everybody included. And it's just clever how these things can work out, because the higher mind and love is always guiding us back to unity. Unity is the wisest, obviously the wisest way of being, because in unity there's no two things to have conflict with. I mean, most people on the planet, I think, don't actually really understand this concept well enough to understand that forgiveness is really the only moral thing that we can do in any situation, because what we think of as morals is always based on just an interpretation. So in some cultures it's acceptable to eat people, and in other cultures that would be considered completely unacceptable. And who's to say what's right? And obviously both sides will have their own argument and will feel very strongly that they're right and that the other person is wrong. And then you just kind of end up in this stalemate where something that one person does or one group do is horrifying to the other people, and there's no reconciliation. So that's why the Holy Spirit will come in to teach us that this world is a mortal dream, and judgment is something that basically perpetuates the fragmentation in the world, and that we need to give up judgment and exercise forgiveness as a way to neutralize everything and return it back to innocence and oneness. So it's clever how the Spirit works these things. And I know that we can often get lured into like hypocrisy. For example, I was talking to someone about this the other day, where someone may feel pleased that they stand up for LGBT, and then they're saying, oh well, I stand for this, but I don't like people who don't agree with this. I think it's disgusting that they don't agree with it. And what happens is that we don't realise that we're making the same mistake, that we're being hypocritical. So someone's complaining that they don't like gays and things, and then we complain that we don't like people who don't like gays, and it's the same error. And the only way out of this hypocritical trap is to forgive everyone and everything, and just understand that we're all one mind, and that we can transcend these concepts and things in form. It can seem quite challenging to do, even though in theory it's very straightforward. But the ego really does like to kind of twist things and convince us that we're right, they're wrong. And because we have so much guilt in the mind, it's very easy to project the blame. The self-hatred and the guilt gets pushed out because it's not something that we feel that we can hold on to. So it gets pushed out. But really, the most helpful thing we can do is just forgive any beliefs and things that fragment the whole, and also to sit with our emotions and forgive ourselves, because we haven't, in theory, done anything wrong as far as God and the Holy Spirit is concerned. We've been born into a world where we're human beings, and this world is no more than an impossible situation. We can't do right for doing wrong. If you please one person, then you disappoint someone else, or if you please someone else, then you disappoint yourself. And really, the only truly authentic way to be is to follow your own instincts, because we're told that sacrifice is not needed for awakening. And if we return to unity, then return our mind to a unified state, then there can be no sacrifice anyway. So, yeah. Right, well, I hope that was helpful. I love you all. I'll see you again. Bye.